Welcome to the Simpler Business Podcast, where we talk about ways to do what you love and serve your people in a way that brings you income and freedom. I'm your host, Marissa Roberts. Join me as I chat with my favorite entrepreneurs about how they simplify their biz so that you can simplify yours. One of the most powerful things you can do as a business owner is learn from other people's experience. Not just the how-tos of what they do, but who they are, what they've lived through, where they started, and what they learned themselves along their own journey to success. You get more of what you focus on. So I like to focus on the amazing positive stories that are out there. And when I hear other people's business journey stories, I feel inspired and motivated and excited about the potential I have to scale my business to new heights and design a life that I really, really love. You know, those times when you meet somebody and you instantly click? That's how I felt when I first met today's guest, and I think you're going to love hearing her entrepreneurial story. Petia Kolibova-Burns is an abundance coach and a business coach who guides women to intuitively connect with their inner vision so they can experience personal and professional magnetism and become unapologetically abundant. Her mission is to empower visionaries who are on the path to embody their fullest self-expression, to soulfully expand into a quantum leap in all dimensions of their lives. Petia gives immense clarity and steps to unlock women's divine feminine and their abundance mindset. And through subconscious work as a certified breathwork facilitator, Reiki, NLP, and human design practitioner, she leads her clients to the next level in life and business. And I love that because for me, life and business really works together. It's a beautiful blend. She built her six-figure coaching business while in a toxic relationship with no self-confidence and always feeling like it was her job to meet others' expectations. And people pleasers like me very much resonate with that because a lot of that is my story as well. She has now manifested her dream relationship and life, hosts transformational retreats around the world, has a beautiful baby girl, and runs her business from sunny Las Vegas. She's a perfect example of living a life on your own terms and finding and using the power within you to create an amazing business and life that aligns with your personal energy. Petia, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction. I love that, Marissa. Thank you for having me. I just love who you're being and what you're creating. And I know that we both click so deeply on what we stand for and how we believe that life and business can be created without sacrificing the memories and really the joy of living.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's so much power in figuring out what your personal strengths and talents are, or your personal style of learning and living and working, and building a life and a business around that instead of feeling like you have to change yourself to fit somebody else's business model, because that never works. That's how you end up burnt out and tired and exhausted and resentful, right? Ugh.
That's exactly what I did. You just described my first business. No, that doesn't work. So I had to build a second business that it's really about who I am and how I want to do things. Because when I started my first business, I was hiring mentors who were hustling and working hard and who were single and who were, traveling the world and who had, time. And I did not want to run my business like that. I literally run myself to the ground. So
Yep.
I had to ask myself, like, how do I want to live? How do I want to lead? And how can my business support that instead of like letting my life support my business? We are
Mhm.
in a business because we want to create something that works for us versus we just working for it. Like we could stay 9 to 5 for that.
Exactly. We could have stayed in corporate if we wanted those sort of restrictions. And I totally resonate with that because the first few years in my business, I would just say yes to every client, whether or not they felt it was a great fit, because I was so worried about making money. And then it didn't matter what budget they had. I was like, I'll make that work. Whatever you want to pay me is fine. And then I burnt out very quickly. I'm like, what was I thinking? But a lot of it came to, I didn't have the self-confidence back then. I didn't have the trust and the knowing that my skills were actually really valuable to other people. So, I think our journey as business owners, it's when we look back, there's so
Mhm.
much that we can learn and we can share with other people. And I think being a coach is such a valuable thing because you want your mentors to inspire you and show you that there is a way to build a business that aligns with you, not just tell you that you have to do something a certain way or it's not going to work. And you can feel the difference in that sort of coaching, can't you?
Mhm. And I
Mm.
was the same way, with my business. I was undercharging, outsourcing my worthiness, chasing clients, and that just doesn't work long term. And at the beginning, I get it because at the beginning, you're like, I will take anyone who will pay me because I got to pay my bills, right? But what we are not realizing, if we don't see the value of our gifts, if we don't feel worthy and deserving, then we are going to be attracting clients and opportunities that are going to be reflecting that back to us.
Mhm.
We get to really get energetically aligned with our desires and who we are and what we want. And then our clients will mirror it back to us.
Yes, that's such a good point. When I was in that sort of scarcity mindset when it came to my business, I was attracting clients that were in the scarcity mindset themselves. They were undercharging their customers and clients, which meant they never had the budget to pay a higher premium price. And instead of me going, well, that's fine, there's an option out there for them somewhere, I will attract premium clients. I was like, oh, you
Mhm.
poor thing, I will help you out as cheap as possible.
Yes.
And it didn't help them grow at all. It was just, this horrible cycle that none of us could get out of. And it wasn't until I changed who I was hanging out with and saw what was possible that was amazing. So, and I think that's why our listeners are going to love the talk today, because I would love, if you don't mind, if you share how you built your six-figure business, because six-figure business is the first dream we have as entrepreneurs. So I'd love to know what your story is like.
I love that question. Thank you so much. And like you said, like that's like the first goal, right? And then you achieve the six figures and like I want to multiple six figures now. And then you're like, okay, now I want a seven. It's just we will keep growing and expanding. The thing it's like really find the joy and the appreciation in the present moment. No matter if your business is doing two figures, three figures, 10 figures, it doesn't matter. Like 10, it's probably not even a number, but you get it. We get to really be in the appreciation. I truly believe that the energy of appreciation, it's what helps us to bring in to appreciate more. And for me, like I mentioned, the first business, like I was really working hard and hustling. And I was also full-time student and working in a corporate. It was so much. But then I was kind of, if I would believe in accidents, I would think it is an accident, but I was like forced. Like I could not work how I planned to work on one weekend because there was no electricity, the Wi-Fi was out, and I freaked out, completely panic mode. My clients will fire me. I won't be able to finish my work. Worst case scenario, like when you're in that scarcity, you think about the worst case scenario. But I couldn't do anything, so I just went for a walk with my dog and I enjoyed the time in the nature. And then when I come back, electricity was working, Wi-Fi was back, and I was able to get so much done in so much shorter period of time. And that made me realize I was like, huh, maybe it is not just the hard work and pushing and just like putting myself into the ground. And I asked myself and I started to be pivoting, like where else I can like scale back, where else I can really like look at where am I pushing myself instead of creating a space. And I feel like sometimes we just get to create the space to receive.
Mhm.
So that was like my first eye opening. Like, where can I slow down? Where can I trust? And you mentioned it, like trusting and knowing. That was a huge for me. Like, trust and surrender, there were pivotal like keywords for my business. It was not about the next thing, the next strategy, the next mentor. It was about coming back to myself, trusting my gifts, understanding what season I am in. And then when my grandma was here, she transitioned 3 years ago, but I would travel to Europe, I would be with her, and I would literally work only in her nap times. Or
Oh,
when she was like eating or like, picking up fruit on the garden, just little increments. And that was the first month when I actually make 5-figure months. I made $13,000. And I'm like, how is this even possible? How is it even possible that I'm like literally barely working? I showed up authentically on my stories, and I was creating like content and like pictures with my grandma, and people connected with me even deeper. And that was when I started to realize people don't pay you for like what do you do only, but how do you do it and who are you being? Like suddenly people who are for family, suddenly people who didn't want it to be hustling and working hard, they started to connect with me, and it was so easy. Like it literally felt like I'm attracting versus chasing. So that's how I started to create my 6 figures. It wasn't through hard work, it wasn't through chasing. Of course, I'm putting in the work. Like when we're getting money paid, it's always for an exchange. I'm not sitting here with my feet up and, money is raining on me. I think it would be fun for a little bit, but I love what I do. So
Mhm.
I had to change how I do things, and I had to change how I see myself and who am I being. Because the thing is that I fell out of integrity. Like I didn't want to be working with women and telling them how to live a better life and me being hustling and working hard. That's just doesn't go hand in hand. I had to become the embodiment of it. And that's how I built my first 6 figures in 8 months.
I love that so much. I love that so much because it's such a beautiful shift to go from working to what we think are other people's expectations, and then having that aha moment. And I had a very similar one like that. I think I had like a week where my kids were really little, my husband was in hospital, I was single parenting, it was the end of the school year. Everything that could go haywire went haywire, and I had the most profitable week in my business that year, even though I wasn't touching it much. But what I was doing is documenting my week as much as I could, just in terms of sharing what was happening and kind of being like not negative, but a little bit vulnerable. And then a little bit like, here's how I'm handling everything the best that I can, giving myself permission to just do my best, but also make sure I have time for self-care and time for like chilling out and that sort of thing. And on social media that week, people really, really resonated with that. And that's when a lot of my passive products were selling really well. And I remember thinking the same thing as you, like, how interesting is that? That me having to take a step back from that work actually turned out to be quite abundant, which was completely the opposite of what I thought it would be that week, because I was going into that week majorly stressed out. And life just had this way of flipping it and going, no, it doesn't have to be that way. But I think that little aha moment, it's almost what kicks that momentum off in the business. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like we are getting these tastes of it, what is possible and how is it possible, right? And I feel like people are truly craving not like one more thing to do, but
Mhm.
one more human to connect with.
Yeah.
People are craving the deeper connection. People are craving to be seen. People want to know that where they want to go, it's possible, and it's possible to do it their way. Because how you do business is different than other people are doing it. So when people can connect with you and who you are and your life, and we said it before, like your life will influence your business and your business will influence your life, but you get to keep being authentic because that's how you will attract and repel people.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite things. This is one of my favorite things about you as well, and that is feminine energy. And I know not every listener out there is female, but feminine energy doesn't have to only be for female-oriented people. It's kind of like a vibe and a flow and an approach. But I do know also that most of my listeners are female and will resonate with this topic really well. You embody feminine energy in your business and your life. And I would love to know more about your thoughts on feminine energy and how it impacts what you do.
I love that because as I shared my past and how I built my first business, it was like wounded masculine energy. It was just planning and doing and strategizing. And that is not my strength. I was doing it because I was thinking like, oh, this is the only way how I can do it. But I have started to learn around 6 years ago about human design. And in human design, it's a beautiful way how you can get to know yourself and who you came here to be. And through human design, I learned that I am more feminine. I'm more passive. So
Yes.
instead of forcing myself to be more active, to be more outgoing, to be more in a masculine way, I started to tap into that feminine energy. And it started for me, this of course started before I became mama. So my routines and rituals get to change. When you
Yeah.
have a baby on a boob in the morning, it's different than when you can be stretching and you're alone for 2 hours. But for me, like starting the day with the feminine energy, meaning receptivity, meaning nurturing myself, nourishing myself, waking up, putting a shower, putting some essential oils, listening to music, stretching my body. And even if I have a baby girl, on me, like I still connect to my body, I connect to my breath, I connect with the gratitude. I ask myself, like, what am I really excited for today? Instead of feeling like the never ending to do list, I ask myself, what am I actually excited for today? And this is super important for women. What is the one thing I will do just for me? Because we will do everything for everyone and it's beautiful. But how will I nurture and nourish myself? What is the one thing I'll do for me? And maybe it's just having a tea and sitting in a shower. As a mom, I multitask. Sometimes I bring a snack to the shower. That's my me time. But what am I going to do that I'm excited for? And what am I going to do that it's just for me so I
Mhm.
can refill my cup? That way, I'm tapping into that energy of femininity, that's energy of receptivity, but also it's more chaotic energy. It's more unorganized. It's like giving myself permission to go
Mhm.
and just explore the world and taste the world and being in the sensations, and when you can start it this way, when you can start it in the feminine energy, then you build the ground for the masculine to come in. And now the masculine energy is like, okay, let's look at what we want to be planning, how do we want to do that, but you are already grounded in the feminine energy, so you're open up to receive, and then masculine just steps in and say like, oh, now we're feeling grounded. Now we are feeling open. Now we are feeling deserving and worthy. And I always say, like, how you start your rising, it's going to determine your day. For example, if you treat yourself like the slave in the morning, you grab your phone, you grab your computer, you do everything for everyone, you're treating yourself like a slave. That's how you're going to be paid.
Yeah.
When you treat yourself like the queen or king for our listeners, that's how you're going to be paid and treated by others.
Yeah, that's so true. I like the way you said that the masculine energy has a place, but it's in working with the feminine energy. I always think of masculine, the masculine side is the structure of my business beneath my feminine energy. The feminine side is about attracting, receiving, sharing, it's just so, even just those words are so beautiful and so positive, and you're so right. The way you treat yourself is
Mhm.
how other people are going to treat you. If you get up in the morning and you get straight to work for everybody else, they're going to treat
Mhm.
you like you work for them, not like you're mentoring them, not like you're coaching them, not like you're helping them. So we've got to own those positions of power. And I love that you use the word queen, because the word queen for me really feels like I am in control of my life. I am in control of what I'm doing, but I don't have to be heavy handed about it. I can just be confident and at ease and do it with calm and grace. And even just thinking about that in the morning, that mindset really sets the tone for the whole day, doesn't it?
It does. And like I said, like I believe that Jim Rohn said, how you start your day is how you will run your day, or your day will run you. I probably butcher it, but I feel like that is truly the foundation, because I can feel it when I'm off, like when, didn't get a good night's sleep or something is happening. Like, and you can always readjust. I don't want people to think who are listening that like, okay, my morning sucks, so my whole day will suck.
Days
No,
ruined.
you can always shift. You can always, like pivot. You can always like come back to yourself, get grounded, start breathing, create a list of gratitude or celebration, and come back to yourself. You can always pivot. But it's just so much easier when we don't have to be pivoting and we start our day this way, empowered and really being focused.
Yeah. And those little sprinkles of self-care, and that'll look different as your life journey and your parenting journey goes. I remember when my kids were really little and I just couldn't leave the house without them. I was the one looking after them during the day. My self-care back then was nighttime showers. Once they're in bed, super long shower or bubble bath. Yep. And my beauty routine was at night too, so I didn't have to rush it. That's when I would like exfoliate my body or do a mask and really just make that it was like an hour all about me. Nobody
Mhm.
else needed me. And now that my family is older and they're doing different things, I have a lot more free time during the day. And that's when I can now go out and get a facial, or I can go to the movies and just sit in the dark for 2 hours while everybody else is at work and at school. Or I can go and work in a location that's beautiful, whether that be a beautiful restaurant or cafe or a lovely co working space or even at the park. I haven't quite got the hang of working at the beach yet because I get sunburnt really easily. But, just being able to get out of the house and go somewhere that makes me feel really good, somewhere based in nature, all of those things can be self care. Taking a nap when you need it can be self care. And then the more refreshed you feel, the more in flow we work.
Mhm. Absolutely, because the way you're feeling is going to be influencing what you can be creating. And, also, I used to have this old mantra when I was saying, like, the better I feel, the better I attract. But then I saw how limiting it is because when you think about it, Marissa, sometimes we do have a low days. Sometimes, like, last week, my baby girl was, like, for the first time ever, she was unwell and she was healing and I was unwell and I'm like, well, that doesn't mean that for a week I'm not going to make any money or any progress. It just means that I'm not in a high vibration, but I know that I've already planted the seeds, I've already created the momentum. So we have to remember you don't have to be always high vibe, you don't have to always feel 100%. You just got to know that you have already planted the seeds and created the momentum.
Yes. Give yourself permission to take a break when you need to. Give yourself permission to not have to be perfect. I mean, those are acts of self care alone as well, aren't they? And so, what about things like creating from overflow? Do you have things that you do in your business or particular strategies or anything like that that you find works really well for you and your clients? Or do you kind of just go with the flow and see where it takes you? How do you do that in terms of strategy in your business?
I love that. And for me, like I said, I'm more of like feminine and flow. And I do have like strategies because I love to be looking at what is my life's vision? How do I want to live? What is important to me? What am I in season for? Am I in season for creating? Am I in season for launching? And I'm in season for introspect and just like, being and thinking like, what am I in season for? Like, I really check in where I am and what do I want to be creating right now? Like this week on Monday, we were running giveaway and I was giving away scholarship. Then last week I was also creating free 3 days training on how to be attracting and not chasing in your life and your business. Right now, I'm in a space that I can be creating. My baby girl, it's 12 months, so I don't have to have her every 30 minutes on my boob. It's a little bit more freeing. So I have a space. She's with my husband or my mom that I flew from Europe to be with her. And I
Mm.
have a little bit more space. So right now I'm in a creation mode. And I have, like, if you would see that's behind me, I have a big whiteboard. And it says there, like, what am I promoting? What am I creating? And what are the money making activities? And I put it for like, September, October, November. And that way I know. And I put it all out of my head. I put it down. And then I also have a space there for creative ideas because, sometimes we have like downloads and ideas what we want to do. So I write down like, what is my vision? What is my financial goal? What is my energetic goal? When I write it all down, then it's not in me and I don't have to overthink about it. But
Yeah.
when it's all out there, then I can flow. So in this case, I love to have like the structure and knowing like, okay, like until the end of the month, we're planning for $25,000 more. How is it coming? I look at how is it coming? What are the processes? What are the sales? What are the promotions? And this is just like set and done. And I'm always open for more. I'm open, for like pleasant surprises. But
Mhm.
with this, I don't have to like stress or worry. It is there, and that allows me for the feminine flow, that allows me to be there. And you never know, like I said, like the seeds you have planted, it's beautiful. Like I had a client who hired me, she heard me on a podcast which was recorded a year and a half ago.
Oh,
She just heard the episode, she jumped on a call, she hired me right away, she paid in full for 6 months. And that's why I'm saying the seeds are planted. You created the momentum, keep showing up in whatever season you are in.
mm,
And that's what really helps me in my business. Plus, I meet like once a month with my team. I have a very small team, but really amazing. And I share with them what is my vision, what I want to be working on. I, like receive their feedback, how they are feeling, how can we grow, what can we pivot, what can we change.
yeah.
So I love planning at the beginning of the month. And then once a week, I just write down what is my focus for the week.
Mhm.
What do I want to be focusing? What do I want to be promoting? What do I going to be creating? So I do it weekly and I do it monthly. So that way it's all there and I don't have to overthink it.
Yeah, I really like that. It's like you take that mental load away and you can just effortlessly or smoothly, it's not always 100% effortless, but we flow through the week because you're not constantly having to remember what you wanted to work on or check this thing again because you've forgotten. To have it beautifully laid out in front of you is such a lovely way to do it. I especially like how you put this is what I'm planning to achieve. And this is the idea of how we're going to get there. And also, I'm open to more because a lot of the time we get so stuck in the how. But if I don't have any how at all, I'm super stressed and I go into scarcity and I'm like, I don't know, like how that's going to come in. But when I'm like, okay, here's my idea and I'm open to surprises, I'm open to more coming in, I'm open to little unexpected delights. It's so much better. It's a different energy that comes out
Mhm.
while I'm doing my work. And I find when I'm on social media, then that relaxed vibe, that confident vibe, that I am here to share and I am here to connect rather than I need to sell. So different, right? Makes
Yeah.
such a big difference in the numbers because people want to buy from somebody that makes them feel good, not from someone that makes them feel like they're responsible for their well being. It's amazing.
Mhm. I love that, and people can really feel your energy, whether you like it or not. So
Mhm.
for me, this is a top priority, always working on my energy. Yes, it was so funny because yesterday we were planning a lunch and like I was planning the numbers. I'm like, it's just not adding up. And I started to be like in my head, and my husband looked at me. He's like, I think it's a time to go journal. And I'm like, no, I don't have time. He was like, I think that is important. I'm like, no, I gotta figure this out. He's like, that might help you. And so I'm like, okay. And I was like, so like, oh. And I went to journal and I felt so much better and I felt so much more ease. So we just get to work on the energy better because that speaks louder than anything else. And like you said, it's the confidence. And this is something that I teach in my clients. It's the confidence that converts. It's not the perfect website. It's not the perfect sales page. It's not the perfect page. It's not the perfect messaging. It's your confidence and but it doesn't have to be like I am the best of the best, like confident and cocky, right? It's really about knowing who you are, knowing what you stand for, and knowing that there are people who want to stand with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's about loving what you do and loving to help other people, but not desperately looking for people to help. There's this little shift that you can make where suddenly it's like, yeah, I think that's what changes it from chasing to attracting, and attracting feels so much better for everybody. And I
Mhm.
think, you have a lot of good resources to help people kind of get really build their own version of success that works with them. And I wanted to share, I hope you don't mind, I want to share one of your resources, your Soulful Success Experience. You have a home study course. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world or what is happening in your life right now. You can find time that fits within your schedule, within your lifestyle to do this course. So, do you want to talk a little bit about that course so that people can get an idea of what it's like?
Absolutely. This is something that I truly deeply believe in, the soulful success, success without sacrificing your health, sacrificing your family. And I feel like when we can get inspired by the stories of how other people created success, we created, the course. It's based on a summit that I have hosted. I have also published book with it, and next month I'm actually going to be starting Soulful Success Mentorship because I truly want people to understand that you can create success and abundance and overflow without sacrificing yourself, without hustling, without chasing, but truly being abundantly paid for your gifts. So I'm deeply believing that this self-study course can really help you and see the possibilities and really seeing how can you do it yourself too.
Oh, beautiful. And it sounds like it's like almost like bite-sized things that people can dip into whenever they've got time. I
Mhm.
love that because you never know what you're actually going to need. The message that you receive that day, you don't always know what it's going to be or what you actually need in that moment. And sometimes just taking that little bit of time for learning. Oh, you get so much out of that moment. And that's why I say to my clients too, I know you've got a lot on work-wise. I know you've got a lot to do. I know you've got clients to serve. I know you want to grow your own business. But where in your week have you actually scheduled time for your own learning and upskilling that feels good to you? You could listen
Yes.
to a podcast while you're driving. You could watch a course in the evening instead of a movie. You could, listen while you're doing, tasks around the house if you're kind of in that season of life right now. But have a little bit of time for you to to take in and absorb somebody else's story or somebody else's experience or their wisdom or their insights, because the little nuggets that we get from those moments can set ourselves up for the future. So I think that's really beautiful. I'm going to put a link in the show notes to that so people can find it nice and easy. And if they're looking for you on social media, do you have a favorite platform that you like to hang out on and chat with people?
I would say Instagram, and Petia Kolibova, it's my favorite place. I'm also on Threads, which is also just my name. And if there are mamas who are listening, I also created a new Instagram account, The Holistically Minded Mama, because I love supporting women and mothers. And I feel like there's so many mompreneurs now. So really supporting them and showing them the way and showing them they're not alone and they can truly have it all. They can be mama and they can be money maker at the same time.
I love that. I'll make sure I put all of those links in the show notes then. So if you're listening and you want to know more about Petia and her work and working with her, you can click the link nice and easy and go and check all of that stuff out. Thank you so much for being here. This has been such a fun conversation. And you know what? It's early in the morning for me. It's not that early. It's like 8:30 in the morning. This is the first thing I've done with my day. And I just now feel like my whole rest of my day is going to be so flowy and positive because I just feel amazing chatting with you. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're the happy ending of my day, actually. And it's only 3:30 here, but happy ending of my day. I'm a happy start of your day. And I'm so honored that I could be here. I love what you're putting out there. I feel like people need to hear you. So please, as you're listening, make sure that you will rate this show because it will help to get more people their life being changed. Marissa, thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you. And we had a chat on your podcast too. So I'm going to make sure that you guys have a link to Petia's podcast too, so you can see all of her beautiful episodes. She talks about abundance in a way that is just so positive and just so practical as well as inspirational. And I just think that the more we have that in our lives, the more we are unapologetically abundant and the more we do things in a way that feels good for us. Oh, I cannot get enough of that stuff. So yes, everybody go on over. I'll leave a link to your podcast as well because I think that's a beautiful thing to listen to through your day. And yes, what a wonderful, wonderful chat. I hope to see you again soon. We'll do something else together soon, I
Thank
hope.
you. Let's do it.
Lovely. Okay, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed our conversation as much as I have loved having it. And I will see you all in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Simpler Business Podcast. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to make it nice and easy for you, just the way we like it. If you're ready to simplify and scale your business, you can get started with my free audio class at marissaroberts.com. See you next time.